Hello everybody and welcome back to another Godzilla Battling video, and today we're taking a look at Godzilla Minus One GINZA variant in Godzilla Battleline. Thoughts and how to play him. I don't know, I've had a few days with him. This review is kind of late, but I think I've been able to formulate some good opinions on him. So I'll give you the tea and then some, alright? So let's talk about his kit first. He cannot be a leader. He has 7 energy to place. He can only be placed in the very front row of your board. I think you'll see it in a second here. I think I play him. Do I put -1 there? Whatever. See the front row right there of the green? You can only place GINZA in that front row. So you can't go behind your leader, can't go ahead of your leader, only in that front row. Love that. He has a 3.2 second attack speed. His search range is medium. He targets leaders, grounds, aerial facilities. That's just by default. He auto locks to the enemy leader. His attack will hit everything within the vicinity. He has now several charge times. For his first heat ray charge time is 25 seconds. The second charge time is 35 seconds. The heat ray final charge time is 45 seconds. He will then continue to loop fire. He does not become mobile and start attacking on the field. At least not yet. He will eventually be mobile, but not really move to the center of the field. He has that big explosion, and that damage is significantly high, and it says right here that says on heat ray activation he is immune from damage. So right here, boom 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 boom, charging up there, immune from damage right there. What are my thoughts on him? I think he's great. I think he's fun. I don't think he's meta by any means. I think his bigger brother, regular -1, is meta. I'm going to retract my statement from the character review 2 weeks ago, where I said that I didn't think -1 was going to be meta. He's just fun. No, -1 is definitely meta. For sure. This one is not. This is more of a fun archetype. Not really so much a plug and play. He functions a lot closer to Zeton than he does something like GMK or Final Wars, which is what -1 regular is a lot like. He's great, man. I mean, I'm sticking him in between the buildings on Tokyo and then putting Mothra Larva behind him, and Mothra Larva won't progress forward. Balancing won't progress forward. They're going to get stuck on the building and -1 GINZA and just evolve. If you play him on the far right sides of the map or the far left sides where there's no buildings, you put Burning Godzilla behind him, he'll charge up. It's great. He has a lot of utility in that, and he puts the pressure on your opponent. It's like a real big, like, psychological warfare battle you begin to wage with your enemy, where you're like, okay, I'm placing GINZA down. My enemy now is forced to respond to GINZA, because if they leave GINZA alone the whole match, he's just going to keep attacking my lead. I have to try to get GINZA out as fast as possible. And I just don't think that's the case. I think people fall for that. I think it's a trap. You have to push to the other side of the field anyway. If you're aiming specifically for GINZA, you're going to lose, because odds are the person you're facing that has GINZA is planning for you to attack him. Me personally, I'm using Shinden to lure Kiryu's away. I'm using the 4th Angel. I'm using my -1. I'm using Burning Godzilla. I'm using the Kamakuras to keep enemies off of my GINZA, to keep him charging up. Now, if an enemy does get close enough to GINZA to hit him, GINZA will stop charging his beam, so he will delay the charge. He will then go and switch to a melee mode, where he will then begin punching the enemy, and that is what that 3.2 second attack speed is earlier that we mentioned. So the 3.2 second attack speed is when the enemy is right up in his face, and then the other charge times are for when he's charging up the big beam. So really the move for GINZA is you want to play him early on in the match when there's no characters on the board. If he's in your opening hand, drop that sucker down, right? You don't really want to play him in the middle of when you're building your push. He is kind of like the accent piece to a push, because his targeting area is absolutely gargantuan. It's basically the other half of the map. So if you have a significantly large push and you're keeping the opponents in the midfield or closer to their side of the map, -1 when he detonates, or GINZA when he detonates, is going to absolutely decimate the enemy side. I've been using him to take down Earths. I've been using him to take down whole pushes. You know, you use him, he's going to like half health a bunch of enemy characters, and then you have the 4th Angel, Burning Godzilla, GINZA, whatever, just mopping him up with the explosions. It's crazy. He provides a lot of utility, but he is not as easily slotted in to your decks as other characters, and he is not as easy to play as other characters. There are a lot of times where sometimes I feel it is more beneficial for me not to play -1. You know, if the enemy's putting a lot of pressure on me, -1 is 7 energy, and he's not going to attack other units unless he's close to them. And that attack is a 3.2 seconds, so I'm not spending 7 energy for 3.2 second attack speed to defend my leader. I'm spending that to support my push. He is not a defensive character. He is an offensive character. He needs the protection. He doesn't have a ton of health. My Ginza right now is rented at level 20, and his health is 2,800. It's 2,801, and his damage is 625. Attack speed 3.2 seconds. Doesn't have a ton of damage. Really slow attack speed. Doesn't have a ton of health. You mostly just want him to be taking pot shots at the enemy leader. I've been pairing him up with long range leaders like Ultima and Gamera, because they're going to be able to reach wherever -1 is on your side of the board and help defend him. Some leaders like G89 are not going to be able to defend him, but Ultima and Gamera most certainly will be. Space Godzilla also good to pair with him as a unit, not so much as a leader. I mean, he could work as a leader, but as a unit, because he's going to provide the crystals to defend Ginza. I'm really trying to explain, like, Ginza is his own, he almost brings his own archetype in and of itself. I wouldn't say so much he fits into the sniper archetype, but he definitely applies an amount of pressure to the enemy that I don't think many other characters do in this game. I think the only things that kind of even come remotely close are probably like the ERB. Like, you see energy base and you're like, okay, my opponent's going to charge up energy. Maybe I should get rid of that. Maybe. I mean, I'm not comparing them because they're not at all comparable, but I'm saying, like, it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on you. But with Ginza, you're like, okay, there's this big guy on the other end, and he's going to keep hitting me, and he's going to keep hitting my side of the board for a ton of damage. We have to get rid of it. I actually don't even think I used Ginza in this gameplay. I was just watching it. That's weird. But that is a good example of maybe when you shouldn't place Ginza. Don't know why I included that, but whatever. The point of this is, Ginza is a ton of fun. He's hard to use. So a lot of people are going to not see the value in him. They're going to look for the immediate gains. They can be like, oh, -1, Ginza takes too long to do this. He's too weak in this regard, this and that. I don't want to use him. And they're not going to get the value out of him. But I believe smarter players are going to get a lot of mileage out of Ginza. Is he the best option for your team? Probably not. Is he a fun option? Most definitely. I super enjoy putting him right in front of my leader, having the two of them be able to be on, or him kind of being a wall on defense, even though he's not really a good defender. I'm not using him for defense, but it is a buffer to the leader. Being able to hit the entire enemy field for massive damage is crazy. You mostly want to build a push and then play him. You want him to be able to help execute, like, the enemies that are maybe straggling during your push, or you are timing it right and activating his ability, and then your push shows up and you neutralize the opponents. It's really great. You can use the -1 lead and, you know, take away 80% of the enemy's health, and then Ginza goes off and he wipes them. You can do the same thing with the Eva 01 unit. You do have to be cautious, though. The only hard counter to Ginza right now, I mean, aside from you could rush him with, like, Transmogera Kiryu, but you could do that with anything, is Rainbow Mothra. Technically Shinden and Jet Jaguar as well, because they have the 2 shots free of invincibility. And Rainbow Mothra, grants invincibility to your leader and your other units that are in her field. So if your opponent is running Rainbow Mothra and you're using Ginza, you gotta be mindful of that, because if they time it right, your Ginza just charged up and shot for nothing. That is pretty much the only hard counter that he has at the moment, outside of just rushing him down. But that's, you know, you could rush anyone down. Guys, I like Ginza. He's solid. I think he's going to be in the top of A tier this season, maybe the bottom of S this season. He's just super fun. I don't think he's extremely meta. He basically is his own archetype in and of itself. Just a good time all around. I'm loving it. I'm loving Ginza. I thought it was fine to invest in him, but to be honest, going forward, I'm probably only going to end up using the regular -1, especially when the season ends and the rented levels go away. The -1 regular is just so good. But Ginza's fun too. I really like him. He kind of fits the defensive playstyle that I like, sure you players think for stalling are going to enjoy them. But I'm enjoying them, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about them before I ramble for another 15 minutes. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.